disappear and become part of the wall, and I look up, you would see that the light from above is being blocked by all these leaves above me. So I'm essentially getting no light at all. So the plants in the lower area here are getting really blocked. Hi guys, my name is Sean. I'm a houseplant enthusiast from Jakarta, Indonesia. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the green wall behind me. Now, this is a very unique setup. First of all, this is my backyard of the house, and above here, this used to be the open sky, but I opted to put a plastic sheeting so some sunlight can stream through it, bright indirect light can stream through it, but rain cannot get in here. So this is an outdoor space that's now functionally an indoor space. Now this wall behind me is exactly 5 meters tall, but I opted to only use 4 meters of the wall, and I believe the width is somewhere around 4 meters. So this is a 4 by 4 meters wall. Now before we start with anything, it's worth mentioning, and this is very important, that the wall behind this is actually painted with a coat of outdoor waterproof paint. This means that when we water this wall, the water does not get into the wall itself. The paint is actually water repellent. So when you're doing this kind of setup, whether it's indoors or outdoors, make sure that you have that coat of paint. It is super important. If not, you're gonna have mold growing on it, because when you have moisture, when you have like a covered wall and you have moisture just sitting on the wall, it's gonna turn into mold. It's gonna get really nasty really fast. So number one, protect your wall, coat it. This is to make sure there's just no mold or anything funky that will stick to it. And the next thing that I put up here is a steel mesh. I believe this is about 4 by 4 centimeters. In distance, of course, you could opt for anything wider or closer together. And this entire mesh is maybe around an inch or around 2.5 meters from the wall itself. So there's a little bit of space there where I have painstakingly tucked in these cocoa coir. Now, some people have asked if it's okay to use moss. In my opinion, moss tend to come down. Like when you hose it down, when it gets heavy, it will weigh down, it gets really heavy, and moss retains water way too much. So I really recommend to use the cocoa coir instead. And the reason for this is so that the climbing plants can root into the cocoa coir. The roots will grow somewhere in there, and then we would get spectacularly large leaves. But of course, we don't see many large leaf plants on my green wall now, because I'm going to be sharing with you throughout this episode the do's and don'ts. Now, I've made some mistakes and I'm rarely at home. As you can see from my channel, I'm traveling most of the time. When I set up this green wall, I thought that I could just leave some plants here, let them climb up on their own, and then they would just do well and they will grow just like they do in nature. This is some funky sound. There's actually a tree pressed against my plastic sheeting up above. It's creating this weird squeaky sound. I might have to do something about it at some point. Honestly, when I built this green wall, I thought that it would be the solution to all my problems. I would have like a vertical wall where I can put a lot of plants, because I have way too many plants. I have way more plants and I need placement for them. And also I wanted something beautiful to look at while we film. And this that you're looking at now, it's not a successful, or it's not something that I'm very proud of. I thought my problem would just go away, and if you leave a plant here, it would just magically or naturally just grow up the wall and just take over and look like a beautiful natural wall. That is not true. When a plant grows a new leaf, you really do have to kind of attach it to the wall. There's like ways you can tie it to it. You could create a wire clip and clip every single emerging leaf onto the wall. Because if you don't do that, all the plants are just gonna grow forward and they're gonna fall down. And a lot of the plants that you see here, they're just kind of hanging, they're just growing away from the wall. So that is really doing a disservice to the plant and the entire look of the wall. So again, the tip is, if you want to do a wall like this, it is not a set and forget type situation. You got to keep your eyes on it. You might have to check on it weekly, and whenever you see some new growth, you really want to attach that new leaf, just kind of help it along, clip it to the wire mesh so that it becomes more attached to the wall, and it will look much nicer. And number two, some of the plants that I place here are way too fast growing. They're so fast growing that they've taken over the space, or they've just tucked around, they've just appeared kind of everywhere in the wall, and sometimes that can look good, but sometimes that's not nice as well. When you have a wall like this, you do want plants that are slightly slower growing so you can enjoy the beauty of the wall and it's less maintenance. When you have something that's growing really fast, they're becoming unruly. Let's say they're sprouting a new leaf every week. They're going to leave behind a lot of dead leaves. That's something that you have to take care of. And you're going to have all these empty, bare vines everywhere in here. So put a slow or moderate growing plant. We might do another episode to share with you some of the recommended plants. But if you look at some of the green walls, like in Singapore is like crazy about green walls. Like a lot of bromeliads and a lot of plants really work in these green walls. So some plants here did work and some plants didn't. I want to give you an example of one that actually worked quite well here. That's quite beautiful. Are these pink syngoniums? This is the Syngonium male confetti. This is growing away from the wall, and again, it's my mistake. I should actually attach it so it grows upwards. This is the pink syngoniums tend to grow a little bit slower and they provide a pop of color. So this is doing really well here. And then we want to talk about some filler plants. For example, these Brandtianums, actually, they are quite beautiful here because the Brandtianums provide like a nice silver splash and they kind of can fill in a lot of the spaces on their own, and they are quite forgiving in care, so you can underwater them, overwater them, they're still fine. I barely get any crisping leaves along any of my Brandtianums. So there are some filler plants, you gotta have a little bit more experience, and actually, you know what, it might be a good idea for me to do an episode to list the different plants and their functions in a green wall. But back to today's video, I'm just gonna give you an overview of what worked and what didn't work for me. So again, the type of plants really matter. And one more thing with the green wall is that I thought that we're getting good light here, but here's the thing. This green wall faces another wall over there, and this is a rather small space. So when I put my phone, I pretend my phone camera is one of the leaves, and I try to see the kind of light that it's getting, it's actually getting very low light. So a green wall like this, you actually need very good light. You need light not only from the top, because the plants, if you look at this plant, if I disappear and become part of the wall, and I look up, you would see that the light from above is being blocked by all these leaves above me. So I'm essentially getting no light at all. So the plants in the lower area here are getting really, really blocked. So the only way that they can get light is from over there, from the front. So you might want to have like a bright window, like an open sky window. That would be the perfect setting. Or if you want, you could put a lot of artificial spotlight. If you see the exhibitions and a lot of the public spaces, they actually have beautiful spotlights that shine on these plants, and that actually helps them with photosynthesis. So a lot of these plants here are actually getting very low light. I've had Monstera aurea that's reverted to green, and I also have this one here. This is a white elbow Monstera. It's reverted to green as well, and that is a sign that it is getting too little light. And with that being said, I also want to say that you might want to avoid plants that are variegated so that you don't experience reversion, because a lot of them actually do revert for me. But there are some plants, again, I'm going on ahead of myself now. I'll do another episode for the list of plants. The Paraiso verde here, look at this. This is actually beautiful. It provides a pop of color. It's got texture. It does look like it's variegated, but this is not variegated. The Paraiso verde, there's a variegated version of it. The next tip is you definitely need to consider foliar spray, because a lot of these, it's nearly impossible to fertilize them, but plants actually do better when you fertilize them. So about once a month or so, I would mix in some foliar fertilizer in a spray bottle, and I would just spray them down, and it takes a bit of time. So you do want to consider doing that. And one more thing, for pest control, thankfully, for the year and a half that I had this green wall, I actually had no pest infestation here at all. But that is because of two things. One, I'm not super proud of using carbofuran on each pot. So when I have a pot that's attached to this wall, I would put a little bit of carbofuran on it. It's actually a very toxic pesticide, and it's a bit dangerous. But this is an enclosed space, so I'm kind of okay with using it. But when you use it on outdoor plants, when you have animals being in touch with it, I would be very careful with that. But also, every month or so, I would put a neem oil solution into a spray bottle, and I would hose this down, and where possible, when you hose some plants down, you do want to get the underside of the leaves as well. So for that particular weekend, my entire house smells like neem oil. It's It's a horrible stench. I don't like the stench of neem oil. It's like an onion farted. That's what it smells like. But the benefit of that neem oil spray is that neem oil does kill nearly all plant pests that we know of. But neem oil is also antimicrobial, so it's antibacterial and antifungal. So a lot of these plants are actually looking very healthy, looking very fresh because of that reason. I recommend for you to have a good pest control measure when you have a green wall like this. Now, do I look smarter with glasses on? I always feel like I do. I kind of like to wear it sometimes. But the only problem is that, like, especially when I talk, because like this part contracts, like the muscles like contract, so it's like it's hurting me, it's giving me a bit of a headache. But we're almost halfway done through the video, so I'm just gonna keep going. Another problem with the green wall is that you gotta be mindful. Some plants are gonna grow vigorously, they're gonna grow large leaves, and they're going to block some of the smaller plants. So some of the smaller plants are basically getting smothered. They're getting no light, and when you want to hose them down, when you water the green wall, these plants are not getting any water because they're just completely under larger leaves that has taken over. So you've got to be mindful. You got to sometimes chop and prop. Sometimes you got to help like move things out of the way for them. The green wall is, again, something that is pretty high maintenance. And most of the green wall that you find commercially are those like almost like a felt bag. So you would just put the plants in those fixed position. But in my case, one of the benefits of these wire mesh is that I can place the plants anywhere I want and I can move them anywhere I want, whenever I want. So to illustrate how I do that, I take like a wire mesh. This is like a 3mm bonsai wire. You could use any wire that you can think of. So you want to cut a suitable length, bend it like a bando and kind of just wiggle, like twist both ends, and then it becomes sort of like a clip where you can clip your pot onto the wire mesh anywhere you want to. So that is one of the benefits of this system. Now, do I recommend this system? I think there are a lot of parts that work, and if I adjusted my care, if I spent a little bit more time on it, it could look super gorgeous. So when we cover this wall in the future, it would hopefully look a lot better than it does now. But the reason why I decided to film this before I did any kind of correction is that I think it's as important to talk about the mistakes, the do's and the don'ts, rather than just showing you a perfect wall so you don't know, what exactly are the struggles behind getting the wall correct. So with that being said, I guess I will do an update. It'll probably be in another episode, or maybe I'll do an all plants tour video this year and you can see a much nicer wall. And also be on the lookout on the episode where I share exactly what species work for these kinds of walls and what species don't. Now, when I designed this, I also inserted some of these balconies on here. They used to be stainless steel shelves, but I just cut the entire shelf in half. So I have these weird little balconies that I just iron soldered. I think, was it iron soldering? I don't know the technical term for it, but the workers did it. So they used that heat thing, the soldering thing, and attach this permanently onto this. So we have a few of these balconies where a few plants can perch here. Do you need one of these? I don't think so. The wall actually can function well without these balconies. Now, one of the benefits of having this green wall is that it makes watering so much more fun and it makes it so much easier. So I just basically take a hose every day, just like hose everything down. Of course, there are sections that you have to pay attention to. Some sections dry out a bit more, some sections dry out a bit slower, and you can also amend the soil. So for plants that are a little bit more thirsty or they just consume the water faster, we just kind of top dress it with moss so that the water kind of retains more in the pot. And during the drought season, the hot drought season, when the sun is right above us, I actually have to water this area twice a day, and that can actually take quite a bit of time. So you gotta kind of have a feel for your green wall and just know how often to water, how much to water, and again, there are different sections. I don't water all the sections on my wall exactly the same. I water them based on the kind of plants that are living there. And it is worth mentioning that under this green wall, there's actually maybe this much land, about 40 centimeters, that is grounded. So a lot of the plants down below are actually grounded. So there's like a bit of a corridor of plants that are grounded below. And honestly, I haven't really been taking care of this like grounded area, but what I know is that calatheas do thrive down there. The calatheas love to be grounded. Calatheas actually love air movement. They love humid air that's like moving. So this makes my calatheas thrive. I might actually start moving more of my calatheas down in the ground here. And it is worth mentioning that because this area is completely enclosed, I have a fan on. I have two fans, in fact, 24 hours a day. So they provide like airflow. So when the fan is on, it's super loud. That's why we're filming now with no fan on, but normally the leaves will kind of be bouncing, will be dancing a bit. So when we hose down the plants, the leaves will also get dry faster when you have a fan on, so they don't get like fungal bacterial infections. So don't underestimate the importance of airflow in these kinds of green wall settings. And I also have to mention the humidity here. Now, generally speaking, this room is connected to my office and to my living room, so it's probably about 60-70% humidity, but sometimes, maybe like 3 days in a row per month, I would hose this down gently at night or in the evening, just to make sure that all the surfaces are wet, including the leaf of the plants. And then I would close the door. Now, what happens is that when you do a reading on those nights, the humidity in here is 99%. That's good. A lot of the plants that are grown here are tropical, so they do enjoy higher humidity. They will root better, but the thing is with spider mites, they don't really do well with over 70% humidity. So when you increase humidity for a few consecutive days in a row, that really sets back the spider mites. And I have a feeling that is exactly why we haven't really seen a spider mite infestation here, except maybe with some of the calatheas down below. But we've not really had a spider mites outbreak. So I think if that option is possible for you, or you're thinking about ways to combat spider mites, just give your plants like a room and put it in a shower, but make sure you have lights on it, because plants do require light to survive. And just seal it in, get like humid, or you can cover up a large like a clear plastic bag over the plant and just get the humidity going really high in there, and spider mites will they will not do so well. All right, I think that is it about the green wall. I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. Please do subscribe, comment, and like this video. And actually, I just wanted to share with you guys that subscribing doesn't really count as much on YouTube anymore, but you should still subscribe to my channel. Let me explain. So YouTube is following the TikTok thing, where it's trying to get people to explore. It's recommending feeds for you, so you're seeing random videos, and you might click on like a cat video, and YouTube's gonna think that you love cats and gonna see all these cat videos instead of plant videos like this. So subscribe, it helps the channel out, but a lot of us are not seeing the content that we subscribe to anymore on YouTube. So that's an interesting fact that maybe we all have to live with these days. But check out my catalog. If you look at my channel and browse at the last few videos, I'm sure there are some interesting episodes that you've missed, because YouTube just doesn't recommend my episodes to my subscribers anymore. And yeah, check those episodes out. I'm sure you'll find some interesting planty content. Thank you so much for watching this all the way to the very end, and I wish you a good day ahead or night.